I suspect something between my girlfriend and my friend, and we all live together. I can't wait for this one. This was posted November 30th, 2014. Oh my God. That just like clicked in my brain how long ago that was. I'm not well. I'm really freaking out right now because if what I suspect is true, this living situation is about to get really complicated. Please tell me I'm just crazy. Sorry if this is long. We love long stories over here. Some background. We are two couples living together. We all attend the same university. The apartment was originally leased by my girlfriend of about 2 years, Alexis, 22 female, and our mutual friend Brooke, 22 female. The apartment is huge and expensive. They were originally supposed to be 3 girls living there, but the last one backed out abruptly. They were planning on moving somewhere cheaper, but they had put a lot of work into the apartment and they loved it so much they hated the idea of leaving. I offered to move in when the lease was up in May so we could split the rent and utilities 3 ways. I was sleeping over often anyways. Both girls were absolutely ecstatic about the idea. Shortly before I moved in, Brooke started dating my best friend, Derek. See, I'm so sad this is a cheating story because this is so exciting. 2 couples who are all best friends living together. This was cool because now both couples get to hang out with their best friends and significant others all at once. It seemed perfect. Derek began sleeping over a lot when his parents sold their house and left in October. He temporarily moved in. We haven't really pushed for him to find a new place because splitting everything 4 ways is helping all of us so much. But again, only Alexis and Brooke are on the lease. The apartment owner surprisingly does not mind as long as the rent gets paid because we are always quiet. There were 3 incidents that made me think something was up. If it weren't for these combined incidents, I would never make an accusation like this because Alexis is such a sweet and shy girl and Derek has been a brother to me. They don't seem flirty, but as I mentioned before, all 4 of us are very close friends, so we spend a lot of time together. Incident number 1. All right, detectives, get ready, grab your magnifying glass. We're going to see what's up and if this is sketchy behavior or not. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Brooke and I have early classes, so we're gone by 8 a.m. Derek and Alexis start in the afternoon, so it's not unusual for them to leave together, though they usually take separate cars. One of these days, I decided to wait for Alexis outside of her class so I could surprise her with lunch. I watched everyone shuffle out of class, but Alexis wasn't with them. I texted her asking where she was, and she replied, "Just got out of class, gonna go home to study." But you didn't just get out of class. I called her to see if I had just barely missed her or something, but there was no response, which I considered weird because she had just texted me a second ago. She didn't answer until much later, which is also unusual for her. She's one of those girls that often is on her phone. I ran into Brooke later in the day and she mentioned in passing that Derek had stayed home sick. She was going to bring him soup, blah, blah, blah. At the time, I didn't think much of it. When I got home later that night, I noticed Alexis's car was in the exact same spot. She usually parks in guest parking because our unit only has 3 spaces. As a result, her car moves a lot. I asked her if she had gone to class and she got quiet before sheepishly admitting to skipping because she felt the professor sucked at explaining things, but she knows I hate when she skips classes. Something that's gotten her grades in trouble before, but she recently started doing better. Did she stay at home with Derek because Derek stayed at home sick? I kissed her and I said I trusted her judgment. While I was doing the dishes, she explained how she probably won't skip again because being bored alone in the house was the worst. Being alone in the house? Derek was supposed to be home. I laughed and we went about our business. At night, we went to bed. As I laid there drifting off, it hit me. She shouldn't have been home alone because Derek was homesick, right? She was still up on her phone, so I popped awake and I asked her where Derek was today since Brooke said that he was homesick. She seemed startled by the question, but that may have been from me being half asleep to suddenly wide awake with a random question. She said he was here for a bit in the morning, but went to do errands or something and she wasn't sure. After the other incidents, I realized that the scattered way she answered this question seemed off, but that may just be my imagination. This is already a little bit sketch, but that's because we're going into it with like, she's cheating, probably. We'll keep an open mind. We're moving on to incident number 2. Bring in the evidence. I went to throw some stuff out in the kitchen garbage when I noticed a rubber wrapper was the exact same brand Alexis and I use. It wasn't super visible, sort of tucked behind a cereal box, but the distinctive color caught my eye. Brooke and Derek always use a different brand, free from the University Healthcare Center, while ours are expensive Trojans. It was weird because we usually keep the wrappers in our respective rooms' garbage cans, so they never appear in the kitchen. Furthermore, because of exams and general stress, Alexis and I hadn't slept together in a few days. I didn't really dig around for a used rubber or anything. I just went back to the room to check if any of ours were missing. I really couldn't tell because we buy in bulk. My first thought was that Brooke and Derek had run out, broke into our stash, and I was upset that they hadn't even asked. Later that night, I mentioned the rubber wrapper to Alexis, and her eyes got wide. When I mentioned my theory, she got unusually distressed. She's always very calm, and went on a rant about them violating our privacy. I suggested we talk to them about it, and she immediately shut the idea down and made me swear not to bring it up unless they did again. She didn't want to have this awkward conversation, which was weird to me because we're all generally pretty open about sex given that we all live together. Though it is possible that Alexis was being genuine because she's from a conservative small town and she doesn't talk about things like that as much as we do. I'm sensing guilty. We have incident number 3. Me and Derek are cool with the dudes in the apartment next to us who are graduates from our university. We don't hang out or anything, but we have the kind of relationship where we make small talk about sports or whatever in the hall and are comfortable asking the other to keep it down without it being awkward. Last Monday, during our break, I was locking up when no one else was at the apartment when I ran into one of the guys from next door. We talked about football for a bit and then he mentioned that one of the couples in the apartment is really a fan of morning sex and that the walls were way too thin. Oh my god, so awkward. I laughed because Alexis and I usually had sex weekend mornings when we had the house to ourselves. Brooke and Derek usually spend weekends at our parents' house about an hour and a half away. The more I thought about it later in the day, the more I realized we hadn't been having morning sex in about a month. On the weekends, it had been more towards the evening or not at all. Did he mean on weekdays? My heart sort of dropped. I kind of want to ask him to elaborate, but the conversation ended and I feel like I missed my chance. Plus, it's weird to ask and I feel like I must be being paranoid. So, there you have it. Am I crazy? Am I looking for signs that aren't there or is something up? And how do I proceed? I don't want to ask her just yet because 1, I don't want to come off as crazy and jealous if nothing's up. 2, if something is up, I don't want them to start hiding it better. I was thinking of dropping by one of those mornings when they're alone together, but I don't know how to time it right. If I drop by too early or late, they might get more cautious. This is crazy. This is insane. Just a lovely reminder to all of you guys are enjoying the Joss Cam moments, the behind the scenes of things in my life. Don't forget my shorts channel is where I upload all of my Instagram reels, all my TikToks, all the behind the scenes of my life. When I was posting them on this channel, it messed with the algorithm of my full length videos. So I am now posting them on a second channel. It is at Life with Joss. We will put it's in the description actually. So go subscribe if you want to see all the behind the scenes of my life because I post pretty much every day. Thank God we got an update because I want to know what is going on. But I'm going to say as of now, I am predicting Alexis is screwing Derek. Sorry, but I'm gonna say it. The majority of you suggested that I speak to Brooke and or attempt to walk in on the act. I decided on doing both. Sunday night, everyone was back in the apartment. I had every intention of speaking to Brooke about the neighbor's comment alone, but before I could, she said something that completely threw my theory off. She told Derek to get to bed so he wouldn't be tired from work in the morning. What? I knew Derek had a job on campus, but he had always worked the same night shifts. Being as casual as possible, I inquired how long he'd been working mornings and when he started. He said he picked up the extra shifts a month ago and he worked at 9. I leave at 7:45, so it's possible for me to not have noticed that. I spent the rest of the night trying to figure out whether he was lying about that, whether he still had some mornings here at home, whether Alexis could be seeing someone other than Derek in the mornings, like some of you suggested, or again, if I was just being a paranoid loser. A loser! I went to bed feeling emotionally drained and confused. The next morning, I left for class as usual and I operated on autopilot. I alternated between thinking I'd run home to check on Alexis and thinking I had way too much work to run around based on a theory that I wasn't even sure about anymore. In the end, I walked out of my first class and straight to my car to go home. In a weird way, I sort of wish I hadn't. When I got to the apartment, Derek's car wasn't there, just Alexis's. I walked to the apartment with my heart pounding all sorts of crazy. I don't know what I was expecting. Outside the apartment door, I could immediately hear a guy's voice inside. I heard him talking and laughing and a soft feminine mumble replying and giggling back. I've been on this subreddit long enough to see all the different reactions people have to this situation. I had never once contemplated what I would do. I pressed my ear to the door and saw if I could make out what they were saying, but I could only make out a word here or there. There was a lot of giggling. Then I heard the sound of Alexis being tickled and shrieking. Maybe I should have waited more. In retrospect, I wish I did, but I couldn't take it. As soon as I started fiddling with my keys, it was dead silent in there. She was screwing Mark. Who the hell is Mark? I never mentioned Mark in the previous post, but he's one of the guys in the apartment next to us. Not the guy that tipped me off. Oh my God, it's not Derek. Oh, I owe Derek an apology. I didn't even think about it being someone else. He's the only one I never liked. He is the know-it-all D-bag attitude, always made inappropriate comments towards both girls, never thought anything of it. As soon as I opened the door, they both gave me deer in headlights look that removed any naive doubt I may have retained that the situation was innocent. I was planning on yelling at them or demanding answers, but, and this is effing embarrassing, my eyes began to well with tears. That's not embarrassing. I didn't want them to see that, so I said, nice, real effing nice, and I bolted back to my car. I heard Alexis yelling my name in the hallway and picked up the pace. I sort of expected her to be chasing me, but by the time I got to my car, there was no one following me. I drove to a park that's near the apartment and I sat there in disbelief. My first thought, weirdly enough, was how is my family going to take this? What the hell am I going to tell them? My family loved Alexis. They joked about our wedding and regularly called her part of the family. Then I started thinking about our living arrangements. Our finals end in about 2 weeks. There's no way I can handle moving now. I'm applying to an extremely competitive graduate program and I can't let anything get in the way of that. Definitely not this cheating B word. I'm writing this from a friend's house. I explained the situation, he explained it to his parents, and they welcomed me to stay in their home. I'm going to have to go back home to get some clothes sometime. I'm planning on going during this lab period. I know Alexis can't skip tomorrow. It took her an hour or so to start blowing up my phone, but once she did, it didn't stop. She started off asking me to come home so she could explain. I don't know what there is to explain. Before I even had the chance to respond, she sent another one begging me to come back because she was having an anxiety attack, something I always helped her through. Maybe I'm heartless, but all I could think was, good. You earned it. There was a pause and then she sent, I don't know why you get so jealous. We were just hanging out. I waited. She sent, look, I know it looks super sketchy. Believe me, if I were you, I would think the same thing, but we didn't do anything. He needed advice on his girl problems. You have to believe me. No, I don't. Normally, I would have gotten a weird sense of satisfaction watching a cheater scramble to cover their ass, but my stupid brain just kept replaying all of the great times we had together and wondering if she was cheating then too. I guess it depends what you saw when you walked in. Were they actually screwing each other or were they just hanging out? I mean, I think they're definitely screwing, but I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to know when this started, but at the same time, I'm worried it's been going on for longer than the month I have suspected something. I received a text later that night from a number I didn't recognize. It was the nice dude from next door. He said that he got my number from Derek. He was extremely sorry for what I was going through, and he said he would have told me sooner, but he wasn't completely sure. He said he knew his friend was seeing a girl with a boyfriend, but didn't put it together until he learned the girl's name. As many of you suspected, the comment was trying to tip me off about the morning. Yeah. So yeah, I guess he is bro of the year. I don't think Derek and Brooke know yet. I haven't texted them. I haven't found the words. I know it's going to turn our living arrangement and friendships upside down. I guess I should message them before Alexis paints a different picture. I wonder what the cool neighbor said when he asked for my number. I don't think he told them. They would have said something, right? Unless they took her side. Then I have lost my girlfriend and friends. We got more updates though, but let's hydrate first. Hopping on hydration station. Cheers. I am so invested in this story. The update came 1 week later. A clarification on the last update. I wasn't clear about what I saw when I walked in. Thank you. They weren't literally screwing each other. They were just sitting on the couch with a deer in headlights look that was incredibly incriminating, and they both went quiet. It was just obviously not a, hey, guess who dropped by situation. Anyways, on to the update. I've been extremely busy with the semester ending, and I took the majority's advice to bury my head in work. I've spent a lot of time at the library because Alexis never goes there. In the process of posting the last update, I realized how dumb it was that I hadn't contacted Derek and Brooke with my side. I screenshotted the text from the cool neighbor, Will. Side notes, all names have been changed. Oh, except Mark, because screw you, Mark. I love that. Within the minute, Derek was blowing up my phone with calls and texts that made it very apparent he didn't know anything. At the same time, Alexis was sending texts begging me to meet up with her. I was feeling miserable and sent back a single text to Derek saying I wasn't feeling up for talking, then put my phone away for the night. In the morning, I got a text saying to meet him at my favorite restaurant for dinner and drinks with him, assuring me that no one would be there, not even Brooke. I hadn't had any appetite since anything went down, but the offer meant a lot and I really did want to see him, so I decided to go after classes. I got to the restaurant first and I had my heart in my throat worrying that Alexis would somehow be there, but she wasn't. Derek came up to me and gave me a big hug and opened with, "Dude, WTF." So here's where stuff gets a bit crazy and dramatic. A lot of you suggested that Brooke might side with Alexis or had been covering for her the whole time. I wasn't so sure because while she is closer to Alexis, her and I have been friends for a bit longer. According to Derek, as soon as he told Brooke, she was absolutely furious. In her words, I sort of wanted to betch Alexis out, but Brooke took care of that and then some. Remember how I said Alexis came from a conservative small town? Her parents had no idea that we were all living together, and she constantly stressed that they couldn't know or they would cut her off financially. They liked me enough to be polite, but they were constantly worried about a relationship distracting her from school and didn't want her getting pregnant or whatever. Derek said that Brooke demanded Alexis pack her things and find a new place or she'd call up her parents and tell them everything. Derek told me that later that night, Alexis was sitting in the living room hugging a sweater I had left behind and wailing at the top of her lungs that her life was over when Brooke yelled from her bedroom, "Well, maybe you shouldn't have effed Mark then." Imagining that moment was kind of funny. Brooke's always been a very no-nonsense girl with a hot temper, but I definitely didn't expect this. It was extremely touching that she took the cheating that seriously. During that dinner, all of my fears that I'd lost my friends were completely washed away, and I was able to choke down a few pieces of sushi. When we left dinner, Derek promised to let me know when Alexis was gone so I could move back in. I declined his offer because, one, even if she does move out, everything in that apartment reminds me of her, including Derek and Brooke. And two, Alexis and Mark probably hooked up in my room, so I really don't want to sleep in it. And three, in the current emotional state I'm in, I don't want to be third wheeling a happy couple, even though I'm sure they'd be considerate. He understood my points, but said to let him know if I changed my mind because Brooke and Alexis's friendship seems to be pretty over. Also, Mark lives right next door. Like, do you really want to live next to him? No. Later in the week, she sent me a really long Facebook message explaining everything from the beginning, and it sort of made me sick to read. I contemplated not reading it once I opened it, but I just had to. She said that he had been flirty with her in the halls and tried to be friendly back, but it must have come off as flirting because he kissed her mid-sentence one day. She said she felt guilty that she led him on, and that guilt prevented her from shooting him down in future advances because she felt like it was her fault it happened and that she had trouble saying no. She said they only slept together 3 times and she hated it. He had pushed her into it and she was going to end it during the conversation I walked in on. Girl, my money is closed and sealed in my wallet. I am not buying it, all right? No, ma'am. She said she understood if I needed some time and space, but that she would do absolutely anything to make it right and would spend the rest of her life making it up to me by treating me like a king. I would never cook, clean, or do my laundry again. Give me full access to her phone and passwords. She even suggested we install Life 360. It's an app that allows you to track someone's location through their phone so that I would know where she is at all times. And she would cut off all contact with Mark and all her male friends, just for good measure, I guess. And we would have makeup sex whenever I wanted. So generous. Oh my. Yeah, that sounds like a healthy relationship, right? I didn't answer. I kind of wanted to keep her on Facebook and watch this crap show unfold. She was posting dramatic statuses and song lyrics about mistakes, forgiveness, and some from our song. But I know how I am. I don't want to compulsively check her page or go through old photos. So I blocked her. Derek sent me a text a few hours later saying she's crying and screaming about you blocking her, lol. In happier news, the family I'm staying with is fantastic. As for Will, the awesome neighbor, I called him to thank him for everything. I'm still going to be friends with Derek and Brooke, but I'm going to limit my contact with them because they remind me of Alexis so much. I sent Brooke a message thanking her for kicking Alexis out, and she said she did it regardless of whether or not I moved back in. She's going to give me a heads up on when Alexis is gone so I can get the rest of my things. However, we have a final update. It does not end there. The final update came January 13th, 2015, which was 45 days later. So stuff should be settled now. Once finals ended, I did well, given the circumstances. Everything hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, almost worse than the initial insult. I removed all my social media pictures with her, threw out stuff that reminded me of her, took our songs off my playlist, yada yada. We've been inseparable since we met, so this was over 2 years of accumulated memories. Long story short, it was very hard, but I had the urge to get it all done before the new year. That whole cliche new year, new me thing, I guess. I don't know. What Alexis did was absolutely freaking terrible, but I felt like a final conversation might give me better closure and maybe help her understand that it's completely over and to get her to move on. So I planned to meet with her before everyone went home for break. I sent Alexis, if you want to talk, we can meet up somewhere, but there's no way we can be together after what happened, so please don't ask. Okay? She responded almost immediately with where and when. We arranged to meet at an off-campus coffee place. When I got there, she was already at the table and got up to hug me. I waved her away and she jerked back. I felt crappy immediately, but I wanted to get it over with. I asked her if she had been unhappy with our relationship. Her eyes got real wide and she said no, no, no a bunch of times and got quiet. So I asked her why she wasn't unhappy. Basically, she retold the story about having trouble saying no to him, being so pushy. I stopped her and I asked her to cut the BS and to just take responsibility. Maybe it excused her actions up until he kissed her mid-sentence, but sex 3 times? Yeah, no. She looked down, shrugged, and muttered, "You're right. I know." At this point, she started tearing up and said that she was sorry and that I would never understand how sorry she was. Then she asked if there was any chance we could be together again, which I was kind of expecting, even though I told her not to. I just shook my head. I told her she could still live with Derek and Brooke if she wanted to, but she declined and told me she had already planned to move in with another girl and a friend of hers. Finally, I let it go and we parted ways somewhat amicably. She never took responsibility for anything. I just never really thought about it too hard. I think I was still in the honeymoon stage or something. So at this point, I leave the coffee place and I asked Derek to hang out. I ended up going to the apartment, and although Brooke was there, she mostly stayed in her room. We drank some beers and played some video games. It really cheered me up. We also talked a bit about everything that happened. He admitted that they hadn't been able to find a third roommate aside from complete strangers that they'd rather not move in, and asked me again to stay with them. I could tell he really wanted me to, and I felt guilty about them being stuck with the lease, so I accepted. I told them I needed to wait until Alexis took all of her things though. The furniture is hers from before I even moved in, and I still don't want to sleep in that bed. Also, Brooke apologized for getting so involved in the situation and yelling at Alexis. Apparently her stepdad had cheated on her mom, and it's a sore subject for her. I told her I genuinely don't mind, and she was welcome to do it again if the mood struck her. Life isn't perfect now, but I'm doing better. Alexis moved her stuff out and I bought a second-hand bed and dresser off another student. Derek and Brooke have been really supportive and don't make me feel like a third wheel at all. I saw Mark in the hallway once and he totally ignored me and I ignored him, but the urge to punch him in the face was very real. I guess that's something that will go away over time. I almost wanted to call him out on the whole thing, but with the kind of person Will had described, the conversation would have gotten me nowhere and probably pissed me off more. Dude didn't care. He didn't care she had a boyfriend. He clearly doesn't care about your feelings. Let me know what you guys are doing in this situation. That's wild. But screw it. Stay in the nice big apartment with your besties. Whatever. At this point, I guess. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.